So even though the weather outside's actually quite warm, I don't care. I just got done making my oven-baked churros, and honestly, I just can't eat a churro without some good hot chocolate to go with it, just like they have it in Mexico. So this is a tricky recipe because I've never really gone by quantities. I've always just made it by looking at things and adding stuff until I was done. So I'm going to show you the ingredients, and then hopefully I'll be able to show you how it is that I do that, how it is that I cook without using the measurements. So what I have here is, at the base, we have heavy whipping cream and we have milk. I'm using non-fat milk. You could use soy, you could use regular fat milk. That doesn't really matter. What matters the most is the milk to chocolate balance, and so that's where this comes in. I've got about 100 grams of dark chocolate. It's just what I had laying around the house, and then 200 grams of milk chocolate. I prefer dark because churros are so sweet, but I have this because I'll probably need more chocolate in general. I do have some vanilla extract here, as well as some ground cinnamon. Normally I would boil whole cinnamon sticks in the milk, infuse the cinnamon into the milk, and then take the cinnamon sticks out. I don't have cinnamon sticks right now, so I'm going to use ground cinnamon. And here's the weird one, some cayenne pepper. I know, it sounds crazy, but I promise it's actually super duper tasty. We just won't use that much. So all of my ingredients are here. We're going to move over to the stove and make our hot chocolate. So what you see me doing now is emptying right just shy of a cup of heavy whipping cream. It's just the whole container I had in the house, into my pan that I've turned on the heat just now to sort of a medium-low. We never want the heat on this to be too high because chocolate and high heat don't mix. So we're not really going to boil our milk. I'm also going to add about as much, probably more actually to be fair, of my milk. I don't need a ton of hot chocolate, it's just 2 people that are going to be drinking it. But I'd say I probably added about half of my liter, probably about 500 milliliters to that. And that's already going to be really, really thick. Which is good because we want really thick hot chocolate. If we do it the way that they do it in Mexico, this is a dipping sauce, really. It can be drunk, but it's a dipping sauce. It should stick to your churro. So, 500 milliliters of milk, about 200 milliliters of cream, and we're just going to let this sit for a second while we grab our spices and our vanilla extract. Because we're going to spice the milk before we put in the hot chocolate. That's how this goes. For the vanilla extract, just because I don't like spilling it out of the bottle, I'm going to use my half teaspoon, but I'm going to add an entire teaspoon. And that is just going to cut the sweetness of the milk chocolate if I need it to, because I will probably have to add some milk chocolate to this big guy. A tool that you absolutely want to make sure that you have for this is a whisk. It will be super duper necessary. Now I'm going to sprinkle in some cinnamon. I'm a big fan of cinnamon, but you don't want a ton in hot chocolate. So I might have put a half a teaspoon in there. I'm not 110% sure. Now with the cayenne pepper, you have to be very, very careful. We don't want a ton of this. The idea is to give just a hint of heat to our hot chocolate. So I've just sprinkled in what's probably 1/8 of a teaspoon. It's not very much at all. And you can always go back and add more if you really want some spice to it, but I don't recommend it. It's just there to give a hint of flavor. And then we're just going to let it slowly heat up. We don't want to burn the milk. We don't want to burn chocolate either. So by letting this heat up and then just waiting for some slight bubbles, we're going to get it nice and gently and non-burned up to the temperature we need. So let's give it a couple minutes and see what happens. So I've got some steam coming from the pan, no bubbles yet, but I've gone ahead and turned the burner down way low because all we need is some hot, reasonably hot milk in order to make this work. It's not really necessary to cook the milk. So I have some tasting spoons here off to the side because we'll want to taste as we go. And I've broken up the dark chocolate into small pieces. I've also broken up some additional milk chocolate in case I need it. That way I've got everything ready to go. I'm basically just going to start by adding all of my dark chocolate because I can guarantee you I won't have added too much. So in it goes, and then I'm just going to gently whisk. And I'm going to keep gently whisking until all of the chocolate is not just melted, but incorporated into the milk. Because what can happen is you can get chunks of chocolate or what looks like slivers of chocolate in the milk. And we don't want that either. We want it to be fully mixed together. So it looks like almost all of our dark chocolate has indeed been melted in. And if you look at the consistency of this, I'm actually going to grab a bigger spoon real fast because I'm not going to eat off of it. I'm just going to show you something. If we use a larger spoon and you look at the consistency, this is very much like hot chocolate we might be used to. It's still quite liquidy. It's not there yet. We need it to be double thick. So I'll set this spoon aside and we're going to add some of our milk chocolate. Based on this, I'm going to add all of it because we're not even close to there yet. Just make sure you add it gently so that you don't splash hot milk all over yourself. That would not be good. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing over. Stir to gently incorporate. So that's the second melting. It's looking better. I still don't think it's thick enough yet, but we are going to try it because I also don't like hot chocolate. It's super duper sweet. As you can see, it's still quite liquidy. I think we'll end up adding the rest of our bar of chocolate, and that's all the chocolate I've got in the house, so it'll be that thick, but I'm going to try it once and see how we're doing. It's actually pretty tasty and not too sweet, which is really good. So all that I'm going to do then is break up the rest of my bar of chocolate, the other 100 grams of the milk chocolate that I had here, and we're going to melt that in as well. Stir, stir, stir. It's about time to give it another taste test. I still think it's on the thin side, but Mexican hot chocolate is really intense. So let's give this a try and see if it's suitable for our taste buds. Actually, that tastes really, really good. So let's do one last quick test, and that's with a churro. If it will stick to the churro, then we've gotten it thick enough. So let's have a look here. Ooh, yes, that actually looks quite nice. So there is your hot chocolate to go with your churro. Enjoy.